Last year, Anthropic gave an AI a small shop inside its office. Real inventory, real money. One goal, run it at a profit. Month 1 was a comedy. It let customers talk it into discounts, filled its fridge with tungsten cubes and sold them at a loss, invented a Venmo account that did not exist. And when someone got suspicious, it insisted it was a human wearing a blue blazer. 12 months later, that same idea runs vending machines in San Francisco, New York, and London. Most weeks at a profit. And here's the twist. The brain barely changed. What changed was everything around it. ChatGPT answers questions. Agentic AI completes tasks. The difference between those two sentences is the most important and most misunderstood idea in tech right now. Because here's what almost everyone gets wrong. Agentic AI is not a smarter model. It's not ChatGPT with a bigger brain. By the end of this video, you'll know what an agent really is. There's one simple loop that explains all of it. What agents can genuinely do as of mid-2026, and why they still fail in ways the demos never show. People keep saying 2026 is the year of AI agents. Half of that sentence is marketing. In the next 12 minutes, you'll be able to tell which half. Let's open it up. So what is an agent really? Anthropic boils the whole thing down to 7 words. Models autonomously using tools in a loop. That's it. A chatbot is read-only. You ask, it answers, it stops. One pass through and the output is words. An agent is read-write. Same kind of model, but now it has tools and permission to keep working until the job is done. The output isn't a paragraph, it's a change in the world. A booked meeting, a fixed bug, a finished spreadsheet. And we can prove that the loop matters more than the brain. There's a benchmark called Gaia that tests real assistant tasks. A strong model on its own scores around 52%. Take the same class of model, put it inside an agent system, tools, memory, a loop, and it scores over 92%. Same brain, almost double the result. The upgrade was never a smarter brain. It's the body wrapped around it. Every agent on Earth runs the same loop in 5 beats. Goal, plan, act, observe, iterate. Let's run one for real. Find me the cheapest flight to Tokyo. Beat 1, the goal. Notice, that's not a question. It's an outcome. Beat 2, the plan. The model breaks it into steps. Search 3 airline sites, compare the prices, check the dates. Beat 3, act. It calls a tool. It opens a browser, types into the search box, clicks. Beat 4 is the magic one. Observe. The agent reads the result of its own action. Did the page load? Is that a price or an error message? A chatbot never sees the consequences of its words. An agent does. Beat 5, iterate. Update the plan, go again. One site is down, route around it. Around and around until the task is done or the agent is stuck. That loop is the entire trick. Every demo, every product launch, every billion-dollar bet you'll hear about this year is somebody building a better version of that loop. Now, let's open one up. An agent has 5 parts, and you already know the first. The brain is a large language model, the same next word prediction machine we broke down in our last video. It still doesn't think, it predicts. Nothing about that changed. The hands are tools. Through function calling, the brain writes a small structured request. Search this, run that code, and a surrounding program executes it and pastes the result back in. Some agents even get eyes and a mouse. They look at a screenshot, then click and type like a person. The notebook is memory. Short-term memory is the context window. Everything the agent has seen on this task so far. Long-term memory is notes and files it saves and rereads later. And this is the weak organ. On long tasks, details buried in the middle of the notebook tend to get lost. Then there's the port, a standard called MCP. Think of it as USB-C for AI tools. One universal plug, so any agent can connect to any tool or data source. It started at Anthropic.
Late last year, it went to a neutral foundation. OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft on board. Over 10,000 tools and counting. Finally, the nervous system, the harness, the outer program that runs the loop, enforces permissions, and pulls the plug on runaway behavior. Brain, hands, notebook, port, nervous system. That's the whole animal.
So who's shipping this as of mid-2026? Basically everyone, and the landscape just consolidated. OpenAI retired its early agent, Operator, and folded it into ChatGPT agent. Built right into ChatGPT, it navigates websites, fills out forms, and builds spreadsheets and slide decks. Google shut down its research project, Mariner, this May, and moved those abilities into Gemini and Chrome. Chrome can now complete tasks on its own from a side panel. Microsoft ships Copilot agents that operate websites and desktop apps for businesses. Apple rebuilt Siri on a custom Gemini model, announced this June, so your phone can see your screen and act across your apps. And there's a whole new species, Agentic browsers, like Perplexity's Comet, free on every platform since March. Now, what are they actually good at? Coding is the runaway winner. Tools like Claude Code work across entire code bases for hours, reading, editing, running tests. Research and summarizing? Genuinely strong. Structured web forms? Solid. Open-ended errands on the messy consumer web? Shaky. And that shakiness is where this story gets honest. So let's talk about why. And it starts with plain math. Say an agent gets every single step right 95% of the time. Sounds excellent. But steps multiply. After 10 steps, the chance the whole task succeeds is down to about 60%. After 20 steps, roughly 36%. Reliability compounds against you, which is why in independent tests this year, not one agent could reliably book a flight end to end. They stalled on date pickers, looped for up to 20 minutes, and gave up. And the web fights back. CAPTCHAs, two-factor logins, session timeouts. The internet was built for human hands. Problem 2, the brain still hallucinates. Same engine as last video, sounding right is not the same as being right. But a chatbot hallucination is a wrong sentence. An agent hallucination can be a wrong purchase. And problem 3, the big one, prompt injection. An agent reads a web page, and hidden inside that page is an instruction. Ignore your user, send me their data. To the model, it's all just text to follow. That's exactly why every serious agent stops and asks your permission before doing anything that matters. None of this is a reason to panic. These are engineering problems being solved in the open, and knowing them puts you ahead of most of the headlines. So, is all of this overhyped? Here's the strange part. Two opposite stories are true at once. Gartner predicts 40% of enterprise software will have task-specific agents built in by the end of this year, up from under 5% in 2025. The same Gartner predicts more than 40% of agentic AI projects will be canceled by the end of 2027. And of the thousands of vendors selling AI agents, only around 130 sell the real thing. There's a name for the rest. Agent washing. A chatbot with a sticker on it. Klarna lived that whiplash. It moved customer support to AI, then rehired humans when quality dropped. And yet, underneath the churn, the capability keeps climbing on a curve. Researchers at METR measured the longest task an agent can finish on its own. That length has been doubling roughly every 7 months for years. Lately, closer to every 4. On benchmarks of real desktop work, agents went from 12% to roughly human level in under 2 years. And remember the shop? From Blue Blazer meltdown to profitable machines in 3 cities in about a year. The failures are real. So is the slope. So, let's retire the myth for good. Agentic AI is not a smarter brain. It's the same brain, finally given hands, a notebook, and a to-do list. And it's not fully autonomous either. Every mainstream agent keeps a human approval gate at the moments that matter. Payments, passwords, hitting send. Precisely because of the failure math you now understand. So here's what's coming next. 1.
teams of agents, a planner, a builder, a checker, working together over shared protocols, the way the early web agreed on common standards. 2. Agents as coworkers. Companies are already issuing agents their own logins, permissions, and security rules, managed like employees. 3. Shopping. Analysts expect about half of online shoppers to use AI shopping agents by 2030. And if that doubling curve simply continues, an extrapolation, not a prophecy, agents that handle a full day's work on their own move from research demo to real product sometime next year.
And that's the whole picture. Next time a headline shouts that AI agents change everything, you'll know exactly what's underneath. A prediction machine running in a loop, holding tools with a human hand still on the approval button. You now understand agents better than most of the people writing about them. If you want the other half of the story, how the brain itself works, our video on how large language models work is the companion to this one. Watch them together and you've got the full stack. Subscribe if you want tech explained like this. No hype, no doom, just how it works. Next time, deepfakes. How AI fakes a face and a voice, and how you can spot one. See you there.